Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Nathan Box, and I run a website called natetheworld.com, and I'm also a contributor for the Reporter newspapers, which are a series of newspapers covering South King County, which is south of Seattle. For both the website and the newspaper, I'm a film critic as well as a contributor. For my website, natetheworld.com, we do more than film. We also talk about books and music, as well as kind of writings on daily life. And one of the joys of running that website is that we encourage other people to write for us as well. But this is another episode of my YouTube channel where I'd like to talk about a movie that I saw that I think more people should get in the theater and see if they have the opportunity. The movie is called The Journey, and it was my 21st film of the 43rd Annual Seattle National Film Festival, which ended almost a month ago. This film was the last film that I saw during the festival, so I saw quite a few fewer films than I saw the previous year. But if there was a great way to end the festival, then it definitely was this movie. I kind of picked this movie because it was a history lesson on a subject in which I have very little knowledge, and that is the subject matter of the violence between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland. I was a kid, I was in my teens and preteens during the 90s, so I remember the end of the violence, but by no means do I have like an all-encompassing knowledge of everything that happened in the 4 decades of brutality between the two sides. So this film kind of has two individuals that are pitted against each other. In one corner, we have the Democratic Unionist Party leader. His name is Ian Paisley. In the other corner, we have the Sinn Féin politician named Martin McGuinness. And I know I'm butchering the name of his party. Forgive my American self. But The Journey serves as a fictional account between the two men, and they are sworn enemies, but they find themselves in the most awkward of situations. They are in a car, just the two of them, taking a ride to the airport. Now, in the vehicle, you immediately get the sense that these two individuals and their sides have been waging a 40-year battle, because the air in the vehicle is thick with betrayal and stubborn outlooks for peace, and a past that is drenched with blood and hatred. At the time, the two men do not know that they are being set up by then British Prime Minister Tony Blair. And the Prime Minister's team, as well as himself, are hard at work trying to get these two men out of the negotiating room, out of the comfort of their two teams, and wants them to go mano a mano to talk through their differences. And to give them enough time, because they're just taking a trip to the airport, there's a set of detours and mishaps that planned and occur along their way. But even with the tension between the two leaders and everything that we now know that happened between the two sides, there is an air of humor to be found, and that humor provides some of the more endearing moments in the movie. It's also to give you as an audience member a break because the content is so heavy. But slowly But surely they begin working through their differences and start putting themselves and ultimately their nation on a path of peace. Despite all of their bickering and the hatred that they hold for each other, there's just one truth that both men can't ignore, and that is the violence perpetuated by both sides. For 4 decades, religious and political differences needlessly caused bloodshed and countless deaths on both sides of the battle. Towards the end of this film, both men speak pretty eloquently about Dr. Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and their struggles for peace. What's interesting about these two characters is both of these men were faced with violence and those who called for more of it. Those who believed violence was going to be the only way to gain freedom and ultimately maybe some idea of peace. But Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King had different ideas. Instead of succumbing to violence, King and Mandela preached a new message and a new form of protest, which we now call nonviolent demonstration. For King, this brought about all of the victories of the civil rights movement. For Mandela, this meant the end of apartheid. The ultimate question that this film wrestles with is an attempt to is simple. Do these two leaders follow historic examples that are set for them, or do they ignore the lessons? One of the challenges of historical dramas is that we know how they're going to end. Sitting here in 2017, we know how the Northern Ireland conflict is going to be solved, but the journey to that decision, and often the journey in historical dramas, is the things that we don't know and the conversations that happened that we were unaware of. And for that reason and so many more, particularly the dialogue of this film, this is a movie that I really think is worth watching and worth giving a chance. So if you come across The Journey, it was my last film at the Seattle International Film Festival. It was actually released in 2016, but if you come across it, whether in a theater or your favorite streaming service, I highly recommend it because it will open your eyes to a piece of history that's important and has the ability to repeat itself, not just in Ireland, but anywhere on the globe. And any time that we can get those historical markers in the sand and learn something from them, I think that's pretty powerful. So that is my review of the movie The Journey. If you're interested, I give it 4 stars, and I definitely think it's worth seeing as soon as you possibly can. For more reviews, subscribe to Nate the World on YouTube. We will also encourage you to go read all of our other content at natetheworld.com. But until next time, thanks for watching, and be good to each other.